Welcome to my in-depth Temulch guide. Temulch is a very powerful character that can single-handedly change the tempo of a fight and set up some satisfying combos. Despite this, he's the least played character, and thus I decided to make a small in-depth guide about the mechanics he has and how to best utilize his kit. First, we'll go over what his abilities do, and once you have a good understanding of the basics, we'll cover some pros and cons, and then go into practice mode and get a demonstration of some mechanics and combos specifically exclusive to Temulch. Quickly go over his glyphs, skills, and ultimates. So what are my personal glyph recommendations? So for origin, I'd recommend either savagery or spirit. I personally prefer savagery because I like to play around my ultimate. I think it's really important to have it as much as possible, and getting it first before your opponent can be huge. Plus, I'm matching it with another glyph. I'll talk about that. And the energy glyph is getting nerfed next match, so keep that in mind. I would personally go with savagery. That's what I'm running, so that's my personal recommendation. As for the lunar, I would recommend either tether, agility, or enrage. I would recommend agility if you're running a dagger, because it's going to get nerfed in the next match, and I don't think it's going to be worth it if you don't have a dagger, so keep that in mind. I personally really like enrage, because with one like Katana right click, like charged right click, you can get like 20% of your ultimate, which is huge. And you can get your ultimate way before everyone else, and if you have your ultimate and they don't, you can get some really cool kills. So keep that in mind. I personally recommend enrage. Then Omni, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I think Mind is just hands down the best one, so go for that. I would not recommend any of the other ones. As for Solar, Flight is absolutely amazing, right? I think Flight is the hands down best one, but if you can play without that grappling distance, then you can go for luck. This does boost your early game quite a bit. You can get some really good items if you get doing a little bit lucky, but yet again, it's up to RNG, so it's up to you if you think this is worth it. And then the third one, Genius, is actually pretty good. It goes up to I think 21%, which is a 2-second cooldown on Zephyr Wisp, so it'll have a 10-second cooldown. And if you're running the tracking one, you're gonna have a 15-second cooldown, which can make a difference, right? It can save your life, but I still think that grappling distance is just extremely important, and it's gonna save your life, and it's gonna help you catch opponents. So next up, let's move on to the skills. The first one, obviously, is Zephyr Wisp. That's your Q ability. That's your F ability. So what you get these 3 wasps around you, and each wasp blocks a skill shot. Well, not a skill shot, it blocks a projectile. Literally any projectile, it will block. The only downside is it can get countered by something like a crossbow, because it's going to shoot like 10 bullets at you every second, and then 3 bullets is nothing for a crossbow, right? But against bows, musket, and those kind of ranged weapons, it's really, really good. So keep that in mind. You also leap up into the air when you cast it, which allows you to do some really fancy combos, and it serves as a jump reset mechanic. We'll go over that later in detail, but for now that's all you need to know. Then you have the tracking version. As the name suggests, it just tracks the opponent. This is very inconsistent and can sometimes hit the wrong things. And I don't like this one because you don't have control, right? You can't control it. You don't know where it's going to go exactly. So I would not recommend this one. If you're starting out and new, then go for this, sure. But I think it's better to just get used to this and learn how to play with this one. Then the assault one. The assault one is amazing in indoor fighting when there's like a lot of walls where you can rebound. It rebounds up to 3 times for each ball, so each time it hits an opponent, it's going to be a knockup of 1 second, which means in total the CC time is going to be a lot lower than in case of Zephyr Wisp. But the rebound can be useful, and it can be easier to hit your opponents, and you have potential to hit multiple opponents. So if you're fighting indoors, assault is amazing. It's just really bad in like last circle and there's no buildings or anything, it's just an open field, that is like really bad. But yeah, just choose whatever suits your playstyle better. I would recommend starting with this and getting used to this one, because you can do some really fancy combos with this one specifically, because it guarantees a 3-second stun. I'll go over what combos you can do in the demonstration section. So let's move over to the ultimates. First off, we have the base ultimate. It just lasts 15 seconds. Anyone who tries to leave the circle, they're going to be disarmed. They lift their hands and they cannot fight back, and they're going to be slowed down. It blocks all projectiles from the outside. No projectiles can enter, which is really good if you're trying to 1v1 the opponent and you don't want anyone like helping them with a ranged weapon or fireball or whatever, any projectile. So this is really good for that. And it's also really good if you it's really good against someone like Tarkaji, for example, because Tarkaji, as you know, is really fast, right? So when Tarkaji ults and is running away, if you ult, he can't run through it. He's gonna get slowed down like anyone else, and you can kill him. So keep that in mind. This is the second version. This is enchanted version. In this one, you have increased energy regeneration, and it's a pretty big deal. Like, look at that. You can see it right here. You can see how fast it is. It's really good if you want to 1v1 someone in the circle. I personally don't like this one as much because it limits your playstyle. Because you're kind of forced to be inside of it and fight, right? Like, you're not going to just drop this and run out, then it's being wasted. So up to you. You know, if you want to use this to 1v1 someone without anyone interfering, then this is going to give you a great advantage in that 1v1. And as for Zephyr Prison Summon, this one, every time you leave, you can get the Wasp around you. You can do it up to 4 times. So what you could do is you could like F, throw the F, then ult, and you can do it 4 more times. This is really good for like range support. Like if you just want to, like your teammates are fighting outside, you just go through, go in, go out, throw it, you know, drop down as much CC as you can, help out your teammates. This one is probably pretty good, and this does work on the enemy Temulch Zephyr ult Prison. So if the enemy Temulch ults, you can use this. So this one is, in my personal opinion, the best one, because you're giving up a 3-second duration compared to this one, but like the benefit of having Zephyr Wisps every time is just really good. Now, let's say you're inside, you're dueling someone, and then you go outside, you have your Zephyr Wisps, no one can like shoot you with a bow or something, right? So it's like just really good. So I'd recommend going for this one. Next up, we're gonna move over to the pros and cons section. So see you there. About the pros and cons and who should play Temulch, right? Temulch, if you really like, you know, combos, like satisfying combos, like knockups, and then, you know, it's the kind of combo team comps, Temulch is really good. He's also really versatile because he doesn't have a specific playstyle. You can either play him defensive or you can play him offensive. And so if you like that kind of character that's all about, you know, moving around, like aerial movement, if you like aerial movement, if you like combos, if you like being able to just have this really versatile playstyle with a lot of options, definitely go for Temulch. He's not mechanically intense, but he's all about like thinking and being one step ahead of your opponent, and then just playing smart. Like that's what Temulch is all about. It's all about playing smart rather than on the other end of the spectrum you have Tarkaji, who's all about mechanics, right? He's all about being mechanically good, whereas Temulch is all about using your brains and, you know, just knowing when and how to use your abilities. So let's look at the pros. So as mentioned, he has a really versatile ultimate that can be used both defensively and offensively. You can use it to like catch someone out, and then no one from outside can help them because, you know, your ultimate blocks all projectiles, so you can 1v1 someone that way, and then if they try to walk out, then they won't be able to run. They're going to be slowed down and they won't be able to fight back, so you can just, it's a free kill usually. He's also really good for team comps and setting up combos for your team. For example, if you have a Yorihime in your team, Yorihime can, when she lands her ultimate, she actually knocks you down, and then you can follow up with your knockup, and then you can do some really fancy long combos, so you can just one combo someone. He's extremely good against range support. For example, if they have a Tarkaji with fireballs, if they have like bow user or, you know, whatever ranged weapon, you can ult, and then they cannot help you from outside. If they want to help their teammate, they have to come inside, and if they come inside, by the time they're in, you can probably kill the opponent and then move on to the other ones. So he's really nice playing if you hate playing against ranged characters and you just want to 1v1 someone without anyone interrupting, then his ult is just perfect for that. Then Zephyr Wisp can shut down Kurumi's AoE ultimate. If you shoot your Zephyr Wisp at Kurumi's AoE ultimate, it gets corrupted by sand, and it actually does damage to her instead of healing her. Zephyr Wisp provides decent aerial mobility, including skywalking. It takes skywalking to a completely new level, which will be covered in the practice section, the demonstration section. Now, as for the cons, Zephyr Wisp is relatively easy to dodge, and it can be countered by focus attacks. Like if someone is focus attacking, Zephyr Wisp will not knock them up. So keep this in mind and be careful with how you use it. So the best way to use this is to do some kind of setup, like a light attack or when they're knocked down. Yet again, this will be covered in the demonstration section. Zephyr Prison also affects your allies. What that means is your allies can't go through. They're going to be affected just the same way that your opponent will be. So you have to be very communicative with your team. They have to know that you're going to ult so you don't mess their combo up. And then Zephyr Prison does not affect enemy Temulch and can even benefit him. This is kind of a pro and a con, because if you're running away, you'll see you have one health, you want to make the clutch escape with your ultimate. If they have a Temulch, then you can't do it because it's just going to walk through and kill you. So that's like the downside. Though it still helps because you can still block projectiles and hit Zephyr Wisp. But, you know, just something to look out for and keep in mind. Welcome to the demonstration part. we'll be taking a look at what our abilities can do and some mechanics that we can do with them. First off, let's start with our F ability. Our F ability serves as a jump preset, so what you can do is you can double jump, F, double jump, F, double jump, and then grapple away. This is really good for staying in the air for a long period of time, and it also allows us to do a really unique mechanic that only Temulch can do, and it's based on a mechanic called airwalking. I'll leave a video in the description by another YouTuber, a great detailed guide on how to airwalk, but here I'll play a clip of airwalking with Temulch. The way this works is you airwalk, and then when you're supposed to drop, you can actually use your F, and then you can do airwalk twice again, and then you can F again, and you can do it 2 more times. I actually haven't done that, but in theory that should be possible. It's just mechanically like really hard to do. But if you can pull it off, you know, post a video about it. It was pretty impressive. But yeah, I'm not that good at airwalking yet, so I couldn't do the full thing, but there's a good preview of what you can do with it, and the possibilities with it are endless. There's a lot of things I can think of that you could do with it. For example, you know, in top 3 situation, you could just stay in the air and like, while everybody else is fighting, to stay in the air, they won't be able to kill you, and then you can jump down at the end and surprise your opponents. Or maybe, you know, there's people down and you want to move without being seen, you could just airwalk and cover a really big distance in air, and there's just a lot you can do with it. It's up to your imagination. You can pull off with it. It's mechanically hard to execute. It's gonna take a lot of practice to do it consistently, but you know, I think it's worth learning. Next up, we'll be looking at the actual combos. First, let's explain how the combo works. Landing your F is going to be quite difficult due to the fact that it's quite slow and easy to dodge. So there's 2 ways we can avoid this. We need some sort of setup to make sure our opponent has less chances of dodging. The easiest way to do this is using the left click attack micro stun. When you left click attack, you're guaranteed another attack. You're guaranteed this because of a micro stun that is part of the game. We can actually abuse this, and instead of going for another light attack, what we can do is we can basically get a hand F. And then the majority of the time your opponent will not be able to respond. The only thing that can pretty consistently block this is Tianhai's F ability, but other than that, most of the other people, by the time they're out of this stun, the skill shot is already on the way, so it's most probably going to hit them, and it's a really good combo that does insane amount of damage. There's 3 variations that I like to use. First up, we'll be looking at the Katana variation. F up. There you go. Light attack, F. Charge this, landing. This is the Katana variant. The other variant is a mix of Katana and GreatSword. This is the highest damage version. It does, roughly speaking, a purple shield and 50%, actually 75% of their health bar. So, F up. We're going to use light back. We're going to switch over and hit them. This does insane amount of damage, and it breaks a purple shade on 70% of their health bar, so, you know, if you have a GreatSword and a Katana, use this. The reason we have to use a Katana first is because, it's because of the fact that, our Katana light attack is so much faster, whereas GreatSword one is just really slow, and by the time you can F again, it's just not gonna make it in time. Next up, let's look at the Longsword variant. This one, it doesn't do as much damage, but you know, if you have a longsword, you can still do it. So you can attack. You can probably do this. It does decent amount of damage, but it really can't compare to the GreatSword and the Katana. But you know, if you don't have anything else, then you can just do this instead. I think it works fine. And that should be it for the combos. Next up, we'll move on to our ultimate. Now let's talk about the ultimate. There's one thing you need to know about how you're going to cast your ultimate, because there's actually 2 ways to cast it. There's a leaping animation, which is much faster and much better, and just overall just do it that way. And then the other way is a slower version. So I'm going to demonstrate them both. The first one is while being on the ground. If you cast it while you're on the ground, your character is going to leap. Take a look. It's pretty fast, and you take a leap, which is really good for covering distance and, you know, making it more precise. The other version is while being in the air. You can do a demonstration of that now. This is the jumping variant. Let's say you're in the air, right? Jump up, then you click your V, you fall down, and there's this really long animation that's just really annoying. So try to avoid being in the air, just avoid on the ground. Another thing you can do with your ultimate is you can run through it like this. and you pick up your F again. You can do it as many times as you want. I think it goes up to 5 times, 4 times. Like realistically speaking, in combat, you're probably going to cast it 4 times if you're trying to spam it, which is still pretty good, right? Because you can start with your F, you can F, then you can ult, you can do another 4 F, so it's a lot of CC, and there's a lot you can do with it. So keep that in mind. For using your ultimate, you usually want to use the leaping version because it has a knockdown, so you can like leap at your opponent, knock them back. So this is really good, but you have to keep in mind that certain characters can simply go through it. For example, Yorihime's ultimate goes through you, so the thing is your ult is gonna serve as like a cover. You're not gonna be able to see Yotihime, so Yotihime can hit you without you realizing, but it goes the other way as well. Yotihime can't see you, so she can't be like as precise with it. So I would say be careful of Yotihime, be careful of Tianhai. Those 2 characters can just come into your ultimate and fuck you up, so just avoid those 2 champions. But otherwise, yeah, it's really good. It even stops Takuja's ultimate. Like when he's running through, he's just gonna slow down and go through it like anyone else. And while the enemy is going through your wind wall, they're gonna be slowed and disarmed. They're not gonna be able to hit you back. So what you can do is you can throw your sand at them, you can knock them up and then combo them. But you have to be careful because your F does not actually go through your opponent. Go through the wall, I mean. What that means is, like, take a look. Yeah, so let's cast our ultimate here. And if we F up, you see the opponent there, right? It doesn't go through, it stops at the wall. So if you have an opponent right here trying to go through your wall, you can actually hit them like this. They're gonna get knocked off, and then you can just combo them, and it can get a lot of damage done. And there are situations where, for example, you're fighting someone inside, and then you die, and they try to leave, and then your teammate can clean them up. It's a really strong ultimate that really cuts off opponents. The only thing that you have to look out for would be Tianhai and Yorihime. Those 2 characters really counter you, but other than that, it's pretty fine. Let's see. Matari is also dangerous because Matari can just, she can flash through it. For Viper, when she ults, you want to try to go out of your ultimate so that by the time the stun's over, she won't be able to hit you because she has to go through your wind wall, and she's gonna be disarmed, right? She can't hit you while she's going through it, so you're gonna buy a lot of time and probably survive. Against Takuja's ultimate, as I said, he slows down. This is great for catching up Takuji because it's really annoying to catch otherwise, because nothing stops him except for your ultimate. As for Kurumi, if you don't know, Temulch actually really counters Kurumi because you stop her ultimate. If you've ever read it, it says the circle is unstable, easily affected by other elemental forces. What that means is that Temulch and Takaji both, using their ultimates and their Q abilities, they can actually interrupt her healing. The circle becomes like sand or fire depending on who's doing it, and then the enemy takes damage. Instead of being killed, they actually take damage, so keep that in mind. It's actually a really big counter to Kurumi, and you can get her killed that way. That sums up all there is to know about the ultimate. If there's anything else you'd like to ask, of course, go ahead in the comment section. I'll play some clips right now, some demonstrations of Takuji combos that you can do, and then that's it. Yep. Thanks for watching, and if there's anything else that I missed, comment down there. And if you like the guide, let me know. I'll be able to make some more guides later if this one goes well.